Two men, two microphones, one movie, a couple of beers, and some wildly outlandish critiques about the movies you may or may not love. The following review will have massive spoilers and possibly offensive commentary. This content may not be suitable for little bitches. Brought to you by Goat Straw Entertainment and some liquid courage.
Hi, welcome back, movie lovers, to another episode of Not Your Everyday Critics. I'm your host, George Lugo.
I'm David Raby.
And if you haven't seen the show before, what we do is rate, review, and critique movies of all budgets and varieties. Everything from sci-fi to westerns.
Everything from French films from the 1950s to Japanese films of the 1990s. There's a lot of great movies there.
A lot of good movies there. And just so you know, movies are subjective. Movies are not every movie is made for every single person. So take that into consideration when we're discussing the review.
There's always going to be a niche market for every film, every genre. Yeah.
So what do you say we dive right into this? And the movie we are reviewing today is Judas and the Black Messiah.
That's right.
Right on. I dig it. This movie came out 2021. Came out last year. It's directed by Shaka King, starring Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield.
I love
as the leads.
Both of them, man.
Great, both of them.
Because both of them were in that movie Get Out, which is a film that
there's actually three people in this movie. Did.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, we'll get into the third one a little bit later because he's way at the end of the movie. Way at the end of the movie. Now you know.
Yep. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Right.
So what do you say we get into the plot summary really quick?
Let's do it.
And then we'll start the review. Offered a plea by the FBI, William ONeil infiltrates the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party to gather intelligence on Chairman Fred Hampton. So a nice little short
Just
summary
basically
there.
it, yeah.
We are going to jump right into the intro here. So
let's get these drinks going real quick, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Let's get the drinks going.
So
why not get a nice little buzz?
Today is the from North Coast Brewing Company. And this drink in particular is called Brother Thelonious. And for those of you jazz aficionados know who Thelonious Monk is. He played with John Coltrane, another jazz prominent figure. So this is a Belgian-style Abbey Ale. I can go into the whole thing about what makes it an Abbey Ale.
What makes it an Abbey Ale?
They're actually brewed by monks.
Really?
I swear to God.
Is it legitimately brewed by monks?
This one is not. This is style.
Oh, style.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, an Abbey Ale, the Abbey refers to the actual church or the monastery which it is brewed from.
Okay.
And, yeah, it's typically a Belgian. Belgium is where they're actually brewed from, these monasteries and stuff like that. But this is a style. But this drink in particular, excuse me, a portion of the proceeds that the company makes off of, they donate it to a jazz festival.
Ooh.
So I think it may not be a Black Panther drink, but I think they would probably...
I think they would approve.
They would approve that, some of the money is going to the jazz festival. So let's get these bad boys cracked open.
Get them cracked open. Try this motherfucker out.
There you go.
Thank you. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. It's actually really good.
Very delicious, right? I told you. I knew you would love it.
It's really
I knew you
good.
would love it, brother.
Yeah, I like that. I dig it.
Yep. Right on, right on.
All right. You want to take the intro?
You can go ahead, man.
Okay.
Your show. I would like to follow your lead.
Okay. We start with the tapes from Over the Prize?
Eyes on the Prize.
Eyes on the Prize. I'm sorry. Eyes on the Prize 2 with William ONeil, and he's talking about his he's talking about how he infiltrated the Black Panther Party.
Black Panther Party for self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
And he's talking about how one of the people that he looked up to, or was a kind of like a father figure, was Roy Mitchell, who was the FBI agent there. And they don't go incredibly deep because they periodically go back to the tape.
Mm-hmm.
But it starts off with Bill ONeil, and he's walking down the street, and he walks up to like a bar, right? And he's kind of like he sees like there's a red GTO outside the bar, and he's kind of eyeballing it, and he's checking it out, and he's like,
"This is a cool fucking shot.
It's a beautiful shot, and the car itself is, I don't know if you know, like that. I believe it was like a 67 or 69 GTO.
It had to be.
And it's fucking gorgeous, soft top. And so he fucking looks inside. He's like, fucking crowns. He's like, all right. So he like kind of shakes it off, goes in, and like he starts to hassle all the guys there, and he pulls out an FBI badge, and he basically puts all the guys in the back on the table, and he tells them like to empty out their pockets and stuff. He's like, who owns that GTO outside? This guy's like, I do. And he's like, gives him the keys. He's like, that thing's been reported stolen
2 months ago. Yeah.
2 months ago. He's like, well, that's my car. Like, and
so he handcuffs him.
And he starts to take him outside, and the other guys are starting to get a little weary of his, what he's doing. Cause like, why would the FBI give a shit about a stolen car?
Exactly.
And the guy that's handcuffed kind of like hits him, and his hat falls down. And then he tries to reach for it. He's like, don't do anything stupid now.
Don't eyeball me, man. He's
don't
like,
be eyeballing me. And so they realize that he's a bullshit, guy. He's just trying to, he's a kid just trying to steal their car. Right. So he throws the guy that's handcuffed down, fucking grabs his hat, runs outside, fucking closes the door, locks the doors to the GTO. And then right when that happens, there's a shot from inside the car of, I guess, where it'd be the center console, but is looking up towards the soft top. And you see like two knives come straight down through the fucking soft top.
And they start tearing
it away. Like, and then they're trying to like cut him, and he
stab him.
They're trying to like stab him and stuff. And like, he like pushes them.
I think he bites one of their hands. That's why he drops the knife.
He bites one, and then he like pushes one up, and he starts the car, and he gasses it.
It just gets the hell out of there.
Yeah, and he gets the fuck out of there.
But as soon as he peels off, guess who's behind him?
Whoop whoop.
Yep.
That's the sound of the police.
That's the sound of the police. And then he fucking, and this that's a great intro though, man.
It's a really good intro. This is where he meets Roy Mitchell, and Roy's like, why would you use a police or FBI badge instead of using a gun or a knife like a normal,
person, like
criminal? And he said like, well, the FBI badge it's more powerful.
Badge is scarier than the gun.
It's scarier than the gun.
And it's true.
Pretty fucking true.
It's fucked up, man. But
yeah. So it's a pretty good intro. It was pretty good. So we get introduced to Bill and to Roy, and later we get introduced to Fred. And so basically Roy gives him an offer. He's like, you can, like
it's like the serving time for
serving time for GTA was like 18 months.
And then
impersonating a federal officer is 5 years.
Yeah.
He's like, or you can go home.
And history shows what William ONeil chose.
Yeah. History shows that he chose to go home. So now he basically became a
confidential informant for the FBI.
An informant for the FBI. So that's the intro. Very powerful,
It is,
very
dude.
powerful.
And that whole intro, that's gotta be one of my favorite intros too for any film, dude.
Yeah, the intro's
same thing with
the intro's pretty fucking solid.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking solid.
Just like because it really starts out. They have like little stock footage of stuff that was happening in the state of Illinois during the time.
Yeah.
A lot of Black Panther footage. I think a lot of it was happening out here in California because originally the Black Panther Party for self-defense started out here in the state of California. And what they were doing was they got sick and tired of being harassed and beaten or murdered by cops, that they started to form their own group to follow the police to make sure that they weren't doing anything fucking illegal like that.
Yeah.
And eventually they started arming themselves and just watching the cops. They would remain a safe distance away and just...
But just like, mind your manners, bitch.
Yep. Don't you be fucking doing that shit. And eventually, it became what it is, sort of some remnants of it today.
Yeah,
We'll
very, very, very small
touch
remnants.
into it later, but that's how the original Black Panther Party movement started, with Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale. It started out here in California, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
So, yeah.
Let's say we jump into the cast. So we got Daniel Kaluuya plays Fred Hampton.
The Honorable Fred Hampton, Chairman Hampton.
Chairman Hampton. Lakeith Stanfield is Bill O'Neill. Wild Bill.
Wow, Bill.
Jesse Plemons is Roy Mitchell. Dominique Fishback is Deborah Johnson. Ashton Sanders is Jimmy Palmer. Algie Smith is Jake Winters. Daryl Britt Gibson is Bobby Rush. Lil Ray Howery is Wayne. Dominique Thorne is Judy Harmon.
Loved her in that movie.
Yeah. Martin Sheen, J. Edgar Hoover. Fuck, he did that role
He
so
did a great,
good.
we don't like J. Edgar Hoover.
Amari Cheatham is Collins. Chris Davis is Steele. Ian Duff is Doc Satchel. Caleb Eberhardt is Bob Lee. Hey, Bobby Lee. Robert Longstreet, Leslie Carlisle. Amber Charday Robinson is Betty Coachman. I can't even pronounce it.
Yeah, that is a definitely an African name.
Yeah.
We can't pronounce that.
I cannot pronounce that. Ikechukwu Ufumaru
Yeah.
is Walter
Sorry
Hicks.
if we're
Sorry if we butchered that.
terribly sorry.
Terribly sorry. James Udom is Compton. Nick Fink is Vesperman. We'll do a few more here. Mel Bowser is Tex. Alicia Joy Powell is Miss Winters. Nicholas Velez is Jose Chacha Jimenez. Ajkar is Anthony Timmons, and
Johnny Ajkar.
yeah, Ajkar. Tommy Lafitte is the pool bartender, and I guess Terrell Hill is George Sams.
That might be AJ Carr, actually.
Yeah,
Because the way it looks in the parentheses.
the way it is in parentheses.
Capital A, capital J.
Yeah. So I think we'll stop there with Terrell Hill,
Okay.
George Sams, and I think we will give our nod and the cheers to everyone that participated in the movie. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
I knew you would love it, man.
It's really good. As far as the cast goes, Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield fucking really were on point, and I think he killed Chairman Hampton.
Yeah. He really nailed this role.
He fucking killed it. Like we'll get into the famous speech in a little bit, but just to be honest, I can't think of them really casting anybody else after watching this movie, because the sheer power during that speech was fucking moving.
Just his body language and his voice, the way he delivers these speeches, it's phenomenal. Like you can't go wrong. And Lakeith Stanfield, I love Lakeith Stanfield, but he's just, again, like when you understand what he's doing, just a shitty, scummy character. It's like, oh man,
He really is. So he even mentioned in an interview
how he had to seek therapy immediately after the film.
Yeah, and also on top of that, is he doing the right thing, taking the role, Because he even
It's
felt
not gonna tarnish him.
even felt scummy just taking the role.
Yeah, I would feel scummy than taking that
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Because you're like a rat, you're an informant,
Exactly.
Nobody likes them.
No. Yeah. Reminds me of what Bobby De Niro said in Goodfellas. Always keep your mouth shut and never rat on your friends.
And then he fucking stabs you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's and then we have Roy guy who plays Roy Mitchell.
Oh, so he's been in another movie.
He's been in a few movies.
He's been in Black Mass with Johnny Depp.
Oh yeah, he
He
wasn't.
played Kevin Weeks,
Okay.
the young, which is weird. Okay, so for me, it's weird watching him because
He takes a lot of weird roles.
he does.
Yeah.
He's kind of an oddball. You seen him, you know him,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, okay, I know that guy. But in Black Mass, he plays the Irish tough who doesn't know that Johnny Depp's character is the FBI informant.
Nice.
And it's weird to see him play the FBI handler in this fucking movie, you know?
That's very funny.
Yeah.
Very funny. I feel like a lot of the movies I've seen him in recently, he's been in a lot of comedy movies.
Mm-hmm. Like a little family.
So like he was in Game Night a few years ago, and then he was in Jungle Cruise.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a Nazi.
Ah.
All right, so let's move on to direction. So Shaka King directed this. This might be the only movie I've probably ever seen of his. We're gonna go through it right now.
Yeah,
So
I don't think I've seen anything.
Shaka King only has 11 credits to his name. We're gonna start down from Judas and the Black Messiah. So we got Shrill, High Maintenance, People of Earth, Lazaricism, Malignans, Newlyweeds, Herkimer Dufresne, 7th grade, Coco Loco, and Big Merc is in the building. So, I mean, there's not a lot of... I don't think I've seen any of those other than Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yeah, to be honest.
I apologize.
Sorry.
I definitely will watch a lot of these now because I really liked the direction in this movie.
It is fucking phenomenal, dude.
It's done really well. I didn't really... to be honest, entirely honest, like from the last movie we did, Malcolm X, I've obviously known about the civil rights movement. You have to learn about that, but I've never really followed up with it.
Right.
You know, so it's nice to like have more information, you know, and just like Spike Lee, he did do a lot of research into this part to try and tell you how Fred Hampton, not how he died, because there's a lot of information on how he was assassinated, but not a lot on how he lived. So he had to really dig to find all the information on how he was as like a human being.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think he did a really good job of portraying it.
Oh, yeah.
So
I think he did a phenomenal job. Like,
yeah.
he almost steals the show because I think, like, Stanfield is what? Like, I don't know, maybe he might be the lead. Would he be in this film? It's kind of like Judas and
I would say
Messiah.
I would say both of them technically are. I guess Fred Hampton would be the lead, and he'd be supporting actor.
Well, either one, whoever's leading, whoever's supporting, both of them work very well together in this film.
Yeah.
It comes together very well.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of the Black Messiah, if those of you are wondering, the FBI had a program called COINTELPRO, or Counterintelligence Program.
Counterintelligence.
And that whole program was set based on following, surveillancing, keeping tabs on anybody who was considered to be a threat to national security, who was a civil rights activist, people that were speaking out against the racism that was happening during that time, or well, still happening, but just during that time, and that was the program, and so the idea was J. Edgar Hoover was very worried about a particular prominent black figure or a person that would speak out that would sort of really organize and unite the black community to become sort of a threat against national security. And so that's why he came up with the idea of like, oh, there's going to be a Black Messiah, and when it does happen, I want to put a stop to it, kind of thing. And so that's why the movie is called Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yeah. I believe the title is it's definitely
fitting.
Fitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's perfect and it's fitting.
Yeah. Fucking A, Martin Sheen is God damn it, I can't get over how
I love
gross
Martin
he
Sheen.
is as that character.
I hate him in this. Yeah, I hate him in
He's so
this.
gross as a character in this movie. Yeah. But as far as direction goes, Chaka, you knocked it out the park. And I can't wait to, touch back and see some of these other movies and, review those. I'm actually looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be definitely a very fun process. So.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So what do you say we jump into do writing now?
Okay.
The story by Will Burson. Story also by Shaka King. So they both did story and screenplay.
Okay.
Kenneth Lucas did story, and Keith Lucas. Oh, the fuck.
Huh?
They're Kenneth and Keith Lucas are twins, and they also I've seen them do like stand-up comedy also.
Oh, those guys?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, they're funny.
Okay.
So it's kind of interesting that they also helped produce a story for that. So
All right.
I'm about to look
Sounds good.
more into that. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
As far as the writing goes, I mean, like I said, like he did a lot of digging, and I know he talked to a lot of people, including Fred Hampton's wife, Deborah Johnson, and the new chairman, Fred Hampton Jr.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he's very on point with like everything that happened in Fred Hampton's life, his brief life.
I don't even think he was 30 years old when he was
assassinated. 21.
He was 21 when he was assassinated.
21. So if you think about it, he already had put together the Black Panthers Association probably when he was 18. If not earlier.
If I'm not mistaken, Fred Hampton was already at the age of 17. He was head of the NAACP committee, the youth committee in the state of Illinois. So he was already used to speaking to people in large crowds and everything like that. He already had that voice. And so when when the Black Panthers movement started to become a thing, it spread like wildfire. It started here in California. Other states they were calling up, hey, can we have a chapter out here? We want a chapter out here. And sure enough, Illinois was it. And who else but Fred Hampton to fucking be the voice and the chairman of that?
Yeah. He was definitely a great public speaker. Mm-hmm. And he also had an incredible quality that he cared for people more than he cared for his own well-being. That's a rare quality in a human being.
Well, it's rare in a human being, but in order for you to be a revolutionary, that's a quality that you need to have.
That you need to have, for
because, Che Guevara had that quality.
You put the people first.
Always.
Put the people first.
And
that's above yourself.
That's something that the government doesn't do.
No.
They look after their own interests or corporations.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, that's what most people do is they take care of themselves first. Mm-hmm. And when I was listening to an interview, Lakeith, the guy who plays Wild Bill, was talking about that. He was like, he wanted to play Bill as a very human, and very, he's going to look after himself first, which is kind of the opposite of Fred Hampton, where he takes care of everybody first.
The people, yeah.
It's very interesting.
That's interesting, yeah. It's very fitting, but yeah.
Very fitting, considering that, like, he definitely was looking out for himself. And
like, I'm numero uno. I'm here to do whatever I have to do just to get out of it.
But like I said, in all fairness, I feel like that's a good portion of society.
Yeah.
Is looking out for number one.
Yeah, that's true.
It's unfortunate.
How many people turn a blind eye to something they see happening and you're just, it's not happening to me.
Don't do that. Help someone out.
Or what do you call the NIMBYs? Or not in my backyard. That's what it is. Not in my backyard. You don't really care about it until it's in your backyard. And then you're like, wait a minute.
I don't think I've ever heard the acronym before.
NIMBYs? Yeah.
I've never heard that.
Yep.
I've heard not in my backyard, but I've never heard the
NIMBY,
acronym.
yeah.
I'm like, that's funny. NIMBY. I'm like, wait, what?
That's the thing.
Oh, that's pretty good. And yeah, definitely. I think writing was very tight, and he didn't spend a lot of time going like in covering each character like super in depth. We got enough because there was I want to say technically there was 3 main characters in this movie, and that would be Fred Hampton, Bill O'Connell, and then Roy Mitchell. Were the 3 main characters that kind of spun the whole plot of the movie.
William McNeil. You said Bill O'Connell.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry. We've been drinking.
Just cut it out.
We've been drinking. So Wild Bill. Okay.
Wild Bill.
Yeah. So those are like the 3 that kind of have the whole plot of this movie like in motion. Not just the movie, but just the actual events. Mm-hmm. So Fred Hampton was the chairman of the Black Panthers. Was it William O'Connell?
William O'Neill.
O'Neill, I'm sorry. William O'Neill was the informant, and Roy Mitchell was the handler. And I feel like he did a good job of kind of writing out, or all of the writers did a good job of writing these characters out and giving you enough information about their backstory and their upbringing, enough where you were like, it seemed believable, you know, especially Fred Hampton and William. Roy was like an interesting part because I felt like his character was confused because he kept questioning his superiors and the way they were running things. And then later at the end of the movie, it was kind of like a 180. He's just like, you know what, I'm going to go all in.
Yeah.
That was kind of unfortunate. But I mean, this is like inspired by true events. So it's not like he kind of like became a better person. He just kind of went all in.
He could have been just all in the whole way, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, he made mention of something that happened in 1964 down in Mississippi, how he was part of, remember when he first brought him over to the house?
Yeah.
Mention of that. So I'm pretty sure that alludes to Roy Mitchell's background as an FBI agent and, you know, what he's gone through and stuff like that. Like, for example, in the movie and, well, really in the book, Black Mass, Robert Fitzpatrick was an FBI agent, and he had dealt with the aftermath of the Martin Luther King assassination.
Yeah.
And so when he was brought on board with James Whitey Bulger thing out in Boston, like that's where he was kind of like, you know, prominent figure in, which in the movie they kind of like really cut his character down, which is really upsetting because he was a very prominent figure.
Yeah, and this is all post Malcolm and King.
Yes,
so.
This is like late 1960s, early 1970s.
I want to say, late 1960s.
Because
Malcolm was 65.
65.
King was 68.
68, yes. Yeah, it was for those of you who are watching, it was a big deal because, Martin Luther King was assassinated in April of 68. In the same year, in October, Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated. Yeah. 68.
And assassinations were like a
big thing, man.
They were a big fucking thing.
Like, it's 1960s. Fuck everybody. It was a terrible thing, man. Fucking even Che Guevara lost his life in October of 68.
They even killed the supposed shooter of the Kennedy assassination.
Yeah.
They assassinated the assassin.
Lee Harvey Oswald, yeah. But he died in what? That was like early. That was what? 60,
I know, but it's crazy because like if you I know we've mentioned this before. It's like, but assassinations that's not a thing really anymore. You know.
Do you remember in Forrest Gump when the governor of Alabama was running for like president or something like that, and there was like that footage of like someone shooting him?
Yeah,
that was real. That was real. Like shootings were a thing.
That was a real thing.
Yeah,
that was real footage. That wasn't. They didn't make that for the movie.
Yeah.
They actually used that footage.
Oh man.
Yeah. As far as the writing goes, top notch. Thank you, Shaka, and everyone else involved. Kenneth and Keith Lucas.
Right on.
I dig it. So I think we're going to move on to our next category here. So, historical accuracy. So, and do you know anything about actually the Black Panther Party?
As far as the Black Panther Party is concerned, I've been researching a lot more and more, just on my own free time because it's very interesting to me. And I guess coming from California, I feel like that's something I should take pride in, that the Black Panther Party for self-defense started out here in California. And so there's kind of like two things. One is like the gun control, and the other is the food that they were offering, the free meals. Mm-hmm. So like you and I, we grew up in the public education system.
Yeah.
That whole idea of us getting free meals, like breakfasts and lunches, was because of the Black Panther Party.
That's great. They fed hungry kids.
What they were doing at that time was just feeding kids because it was a revolution, yes, but at the same time, like it was bringing the community together, organizing it. Mm-hmm. And they understood then, and what we understand now, is to have, for people, young children, when you're about to learn, when start of the day, I've always been a big believer in breakfasts, obviously. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. They understood that.
He makes a killer breakfast.
Thank you. They understood that. And it was just, if the kids are going to go out and learn something, they're going to be educated, they got to have a healthy meal. And a lot of these kids obviously were in
That was actually one thing when I was watching the movie. Like when I was like, they gave hungry children food. That really
Free
like
food.
that like really hit here,
Yeah.
because that's like a thing. Like, especially like during when the pandemic happened, when the kids weren't going to school,
They weren't fucking eating.
there were
dude.
some kids that only ate
at school.
at school, and that like when I thought it really didn't cross my mind till like a month in, and I was like, because I obviously my children we feed and stuff, but like there are some kids that just their only source of nutrition and food is at school, and so it really hit me in like a
very
humanitarian way. It was very hurting, So I was like, he's feeding fucking hungry kids, and that's
because I mean, when you
great.
really look at the grand scale of things, like America is supposed to be the richest country in the world, yet here we are.
We're definitely not. We're one of, but we're not the richest for sure.
For a first world country and the leader of the free world, like how the fuck are we having people go hungry,
starve,
especially children?
Yeah, there shouldn't be any hungry kids.
There shouldn't be anybody hungry in this country.
If you really think about it, there shouldn't be anyone. For a first world country, there shouldn't be anyone. There shouldn't be children that are starving, and there shouldn't be such a crazy homeless population.
Exactly, and it's just we can go into whole detail about everything else.
We can,
but,
we're gonna
try and stick to the movie.
We're trying to stick to the movie.
The second thing is with the Black Panther Party. Obviously, they were arming themselves,
which they should.
Which every American.
That's actually an American right.
Yes,
you
do. And speaking of, you also have the right to remain silent and choose not to speak to police without a lawyer. That goes across, even if they were to come up to you and be like, "Hey, how's the weather today?" Don't say shit. You don't have to say shit to cops at all.
Yeah, you don't need to.
You don't. Know your rights, guys. But the Black Panther Party, they had their own, they were arming themselves and everything. And one of the things was when Ronald Reagan was the governor of California, they had not so much stormed. They just showed a presence to the state's capital over a law that was about to be overturned or something like that. I forget what the law was.
I don't know.
But they showed up in force, and they showed up just doing their constitutional right, bearing arms, just like anybody else. And sure enough, the cops, the local police were like, nope, this can't happen. They're black people, and they're holding guns. And the state of California, right after, guess what? Gun control laws started happening in the state of California. We used to be an open carry state up until that point. So gun control laws here in the state of California, to me, are always going to be racist because that shouldn't be a thing.
That shouldn't be a thing.
People should be able to carry and arm themselves for self-defense.
Exactly. I mean, look at the state of Texas where they have open carry.
Yeah.
They don't have crime like we do here in California. You know why? Because you can carry a gun, you can defend yourself.
There's not enough. There's not so much as poverty happening there.
There's not that much poverty, not nearly as much as here.
Mm-mm.
So I mean, yeah, those things definitely. Like I understand, like oh, we don't want people just to have access to guns. There's a lot of crazy people. Granted, but that's why they have laws in place to like, not everyone should just get a gun.
No,
they need to pass a psychological evaluation.
They should.
Yeah, which they should.
And if to help counteract against that, there should be a lot more money funneling into different resources that would help people to get the actual medicine or treatment that they need to help with their mental health issues.
I listened to Dr. Drew After Dark, and he's like, I have so many solutions to help these people, like the homeless population with the mental issues, to actually heal them, but like no one's actually listening to him. I'm like, that's one of the smartest people like that I listen to like on another podcast, and the fact that like he does have solutions but no one wants to listen is disgusting.
Yeah. It's nuts, dude.
Yeah.
It sucks living right about now, but we're living it.
We're living it. It's still like one of the best times to live, but it's also still kind of shitty. So
and it's a lot.
So we're not trying to bring the show down, but just a
lot of just from the past. Like nothing's really changed since the civil rights movement. Really, almost since slavery. I mean,
well, I still think we're progressing, but just it needs to be faster. We need to progress faster. We need to get that old school thinking out, and we need to get new progressive thinking in.
We need to start healing.
We definitely need to heal.
We need to progress, and we need to heal, and just move forward as a country together, as one nation, one people, and I think things would be better. But a lot
Definitely.
of a lot of people they just don't believe in that. I don't know that black people should live. I don't fucking know. I don't know what's wrong with them.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're going to move on to our next category now. We're going to go over racism. There is a lot of racism in this movie.
Oh yeah.
A fuck ton. And one of the scenes that I think is probably one of the most racist is when the police are outside of the Black Panther Party headquarters.
Yeah.
And just listening to the cops on the mic.
He's drunk and he's just
horrible.
He's on his mic and he's like just talking all sorts.
Even the passersby.
Yeah.
That have nothing to do with that, just innocent civilians.
Mm-hmm.
And it's disgusting just to hear him belligerently yell like profanities and like racial slurs towards them.
Yeah.
And it's horrible. It makes me sad to be human almost.
It makes my blood boil. I'm like, this fucking
It makes me sad to be human almost. But
yeah.
I mean, like I said, like this took place in the late 60s and we've progressed a little bit and we don't get that extremity now. But we still do get some. So, is there anything else that you think was off the charts, incredibly racist in this movie? I'm sure you could probably pick a million things out of here.
As far as racism is concerned, it was just everything that they were fighting for, really, you know? But yeah, that's really almost the only prominent scene where there was a lot.
There's a lot happening there.
That was not like, happening just in general that they were fighting for. It was just, you saw it. It's like, oh, God, this fucking guy. Like, why is he drunk? That's the one scene that really kind of pissed me off. Is like he's a police officer, a law enforcement agent, and he's drunk on the job outside of a place where people are just trying to fucking live and organize and just be free and not have to deal with police like that, you know?
Yeah.
And he's just going on, and he's almost antagonizing them. And he really got to that point where he's
antagonizing them.
Yeah. He's like, if you don't come down here, I'm gonna come up there. We're gonna come up there.
Yeah,
and, it's just fucking. Yeah, it was disgusting, dude.
It's pretty gross.
But I mean, that's the shit that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a lot. Maybe not so much racism, but it's just like the shady dealings between Bill O'Neill and the FBI handler.
It's pretty gross.
Because like the whole setup was like, he was like, goes to his house, he's smoking cigars and he's got his drinks and shit like that. And
it's gross to see the difference in living, just based on
like that wealth gap.
Just literally based on your birth of like origin of color, basically, right? So like that guy was born, he was born white and born into like a healthy, a wealthier class, and just he got way more opportunities, and it was just gross to see that. And that's still true to this day.
Yeah, he was using Bill as like a sort of pawn. He's like, okay, I'll use him to further his career, to further his own agenda in his own career. Yeah, and it's disgusting to see it,
Yeah.
And it's kind of like mind-boggling to see, like, how did Bill not see this whole fucking time? Like, this white man's just using me to.
I think at the time, because he gave him a little bit of opportunity to be free, so he kind of like just saw him as like
he just let go
a helpful figure.
That's all. He did, dude. Because he was always waving that thing around, like, hey, if you leave now, you still got that, fucking sentence, like 5 years of impersonating an FBI agent, 1 year for stealing a car. Like, it's blackmailing. An FBI agent was basically blackmailing a person, just like that.
It's pretty horrible.
Yeah. So to me, that's the most overt sense of racism that was going on in the film that just kept going on. You don't necessarily see it because you think of it like as these two guys doing a deal, but it's there and it's very prominent.
So our next category is overcoming prejudice, and unfortunately, we don't get to see a lot of that in this movie at all. This outline is basically built for just basically all civil rights, all like black empowered movies,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to see how if they do progress, and if there are movies that they overcome all these obstacles. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, these are based on actual events, and they don't. This unfortunately, overcoming prejudice does not happen in this movie, and that it's actually the main struggle.
Yeah, it still is sort of a main struggle today.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
We'll cover some movies where they overcome prejudice, but it's gonna be a while.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
still fighting.
Let's move on to our next category, performance.
Oh man.
So there's a lot to talk about here. You want to start?
I was gonna say,
I feel like we're gonna jump onto almost the same topic. I'm 100% sure.
I was gonna say, like, everybody in this film delivered such a very convincing, very powerful fucking performance. It's hard to put people like to make a movie about this. Obviously, you're on a very touchy subject, but to get actors to
It's funny because we always say it's a touchy subject. I think this type of subject should be talked about.
It needs to be talked.
It needs to be talked about because it's still prevalent in today's society.
Exactly.
And it shouldn't be touchy. Why does it need to be touchy? It should be. We should talk about it. We shouldn't be afraid to talk about it.
It's such because, like, you're getting actors that are, you know, growing up in today's society where things might be slightly different, but nothing's really quite changed. But you're putting them back to where things were a lot worse, in a sense, even though nothing's changed. Fuck. To put them through those situations, to get those kind of emotions out of them, that's got to be very difficult, man. But the performances for everybody, I think, were phenomenal, off the charts. Obviously, in particular, the two leads, I think.
Yeah. So we got Daniel, as Fred Hampton. So obviously, we can't not skip his speech, his speech where he's talking about I am a revolutionary, and he's telling you, repeat after me. I am a revolutionary.
I am a revolutionary.
I am a revolutionary. And it's so powerful. He's telling you are revolutionary.
Yep.
And he's instilling this in the people because he loves the people.
I'm high for the people.
I'm high off of the people. He's like, you can't kill freedom. You can kill a freedom fighter, but you can't kill freedom. God damn. This is so fucking powerful.
It is.
It's almost hard to believe that, like,
someone like that was assassinated.
For what? For just wanting to instill, like, human rights. It's rough. You know. Because all he really wanted to do, all he wanted was equality for people, you know, for his people.
And to feed fucking kids, heaven forbid. Yeah.
And especially at such a young age too, at 21, they assassinated him when he was 21.
Yeah.
So they were afraid that, like, he was probably going to go on to be something much bigger and larger, but
he would have had the
I don't believe that that he was like an incredibly violent type, you know. So I mean, they even had that scene where Bill came with like C4 and he was like, "We're going to kill all them pigs." He's like, "What the fuck you doing?" Like he that's not what he wanted. That's not the agenda. You know? So we know that he's deep down, like, he doesn't want to take human lives.
I think same thing with Huey Newton after he got released. So the Black Panther Party history was when Huey Newton had got sent to prison for I forget what it was. I honestly forget what it was, but he was sent to prison, and that was a whole thing of, like, you know, the whole in the beginning of, like, free Huey, set our warrior free. You know, so they had that whole, like, you know, chant, and they were trying to get him out. Eventually, he did get released after, I think it was sometime after, obviously after Fred Hampton was assassinated. And there was a split between the Black Panther Party because they make mention of his name, Eldridge Cleaver, in the movie. And he was a guy who was in prison during the time of the Black Panthers' rise and he wrote a book, and it became like a bestseller. And the Panthers like, we got to have this guy, like, just meet him, talk to him, like, we got to have him join our party.
Yeah.
And he did. But once Fred Hampton got free, once Huey Newton got free, it became a sort of split in the party, because while Huey Newton was in prison, Eldridge Cleaver was sort of in control of the Panthers, and things kind of got like in disarray. I forget now what happened to him, but he ended up fleeing the country to avoid, an arrest, and he was hiding out in Algeria. That's what they make mention in the movie.
They do make mention that, but okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just going to make a statement that they suggested that for Fred Hampton, but he didn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to stay.
He's
like, I want to stay, and like, I don't understand why we're talking about me when we need to be talking about the clinic.
Yep.
Even still, he knew he was going to go back to prison, and he's like, I want to help the people.
Exactly.
So
that's what a true revolutionary does. Like, no matter what they're doing or what's happening to them, they're always concerned about the people. So it's a very, very powerful thing. But
it's a very powerful thing.
That's just sort of like not quite a brief history of the Black Panther Party for self-defense, but, it's just how things happen.
Yeah. So let's move on to Lakeith. So Lakeith Stanfield, he plays
William ONeil.
William ONeil. And his performance is probably one of the best supporting roles of all time. I mean, like, I want to put him up there with like Sir Ian McKellen even. Like, his supporting role was phenomenal.
It is.
And you could see like a lot of the actual fear and the live, like the emotions of him being a snitch and trying to keep it hidden from
everyone else,
from the party. Like, and it shows like when he meets the other informant, right? George Sams, and George Sams talks about killing Alex Rackley, I think it was.
Yeah, Alex Rackley.
And he's like, "Oh fuck!" And he's like, "Man, it's a good thing. It's a good thing I was there. I would have, like, he started
kill that guy.
I would have killed that guy." And you can see that, like, now he's overplaying his role, and then he's
fuck that motherfucker.
And then he realizes he's doing that, and he starts to dial it back.
You could see him kind of choke, almost like he's about to throw up on his own words. Like, he's like,
you could see some of the actual disgust, and
of what he's saying. He's hearing his own fucking words, and he's like, "Shit, I'm fucking saying this. I'm the FBI informant, and I'm gonna hold up." Yeah.
So I think his performance was fucking outstanding, and I can't wait to see him in more films. To be honest,
I want to see him in more films, dude.
Yeah.
There was the one scene in the film where it was after the headquarters got raided by the FBI, when he was like talking about like, "There's a fucking rat in here. And I'm gonna snitch him out. I'm gonna find him out," and shit like that. And he storms off, and he gets like, it's the shot that where he comes out of the little back door. The camera is inside the
camera's
car.
inside in the back seat in the car, looking at,
and he
looking
just gets
out.
in the car, starts the car up, and he turns to fucking reverse, and you could see that fucking fear and his panic in his eyes, like he's like tearing up, and I'm like, "Fuck, dude, how do you do that? How do you tear up and reverse a goddamn car like that?" But you just understand like where his character's coming from, all of it, man. It's rough. It's rough.
It is rough.
And there's a lot of great performances throughout this fucking film.
There's so many. I mean, even Jesse Pymons, he plays Roy Mitchell, the FBI handler, and you can see there's conflict even with him. Like we talked about it, and even in the beginning, literally like this, what we just talked about with George Sams when he's talking to his superiors about. Oh, thank you. Yep. He's talking about how George Sams was the informant, knowingly killed an innocent man, right? And he was like, and
the FBI let him walk,
and he was just like, "We're just gonna let him walk for murder." Like there was questions in a hand. Cheers. So he was questioning a lot of things. He even questioned some of the things that J. Edgar Hoover was talking to him about, and J. Edgar Hoover basically threatened him and his family. And so I think that's kind of like, I don't know how historically accurate that is with Roy Mitchell, but I mean, that's when we start to see Roy Mitchell turn and now he's 100% in, and he's in to assassinate Fred Hampton, which is unfortunate because like in the beginning you think that like maybe he's gonna turn, but like I said, this is a this is like based off of actual events, so nothing's really gonna change. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
we get to see a little bit of a conflict there, and I hope that there was conflict and turmoil.
I mean, you could
Who
hope
knows?
for that conflict and turmoil, but at the end of the day,
He made his
what
choice.
happened.
He made his choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Made
it's
his
just
choice.
like, oh, fuck, man. Like, you had that one fucking opportunity to make a difference and make a change and step away from what you were doing, but
Yeah.
you chose, that's the path you chose.
That's the path you chose, exactly.
And that's how history is going to remember you. They're not going to remember you at that fork in the road, fucking, what do I do? What do I do? No, they're going to remember you walking
the
down
outcome.
that fucking path.
The outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we can't finish the performance discussion without talking about Martin Sheen as J. Edgar Hoover, who in this movie
Slime ball.
was a goddamn slime scumbag.
Scum fucking bag.
Right? Jesus Christ.
As soon as you see him walk in from the very beginning, like walk in from the projector, it's like, there's going to be a black messiah, blah, blah, blah. It's like, ugh.
He is such a...
Because
he's like cringeworthy just watching.
he is, dude. Just
It's
looking
horrible.
at Martin Sheen as J. Edgar Hoover is like, ugh.
There's a lot... They put a lot of prosthetics
They
on
did.
him.
They did.
They did.
Because Martin Sheen doesn't look that bad. And he's a great fucking
He
actor.
doesn't.
love
I
Martin Sheen.
remember when I first watched this, I didn't see who was in the movie prior.
So when you saw him,
So
you
when
were
I saw him,
what
like,
the fuck?
I'm like, is that Martin Sheen? And I'm like, I had to stop. I had like IMDb it just to be sure. And I'm like, that's fucking Martin Sheen.
Motherfucker.
And I'm like, there's no way he does. He's not that old.
Yeah, no.
He looked like he was falling apart.
Yeah, because at that time, I mean, when did J. Edgar Hoover die?
I think he died in like
After
the
the
mid
Nixon-
70s.
Nixon, 68, 69, 70, 71.
Mid 70s though.
So that was second. That was his first term. 71, 72. Okay, 72, 73. 74 or 75 is when J. Edgar Hoover died. Because Nixon, when he resigned, it was around 74 or 75. I felt, if my math is okay, okay, Morty.
Okay, Morty.
Cut that out. Yeah, you're gonna have to cut that out.
I'm
If my
leaving it.
if my math is okay, as far as, because I know Nixon was elected president 68, and that's when, you know, obviously the same year Martin Luther King and
Yeah.
Robert F. Kennedy, they were competing. Robert F. Kennedy was supposed to be, you know, the Democratic Party official, and then he was assassinated.
Yeah.
And then became Nixon. So he did 2 terms, almost 2 terms, and he resigned because of the whole Watergate scandal.
Yeah.
So if I'm not mistaken, I remember seeing a lot of photographs, obviously, from FBI, like just the archives and stuff of J. Edgar Hoover, you know, buddying up with like presidents since like Nixon up until fucking, it wasn't what, Roosevelt? FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was elected in 1934? 1934?
I'm pretty sure in the
When did we
30s.
stop? When did Prohibition stop? Like, it's like, hey, fuck off. We
I
we
think
can drink again.
Prohibition stopped
34.
30. Yeah, 30.
It's 34, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. So that's 4, 39, 40, 41, 42. 42 was the second term. 43, 44, because FDR was in the middle of his 3rd term, and that's why today people
only have
running-
2.
only have 2 terms for presidents, because FDR would have been, he still holds the fucking the championship belt.
12 years as president's a long fucking time.
Yep. They loved him for fucking like, hey, I love drinking too, man. They loved him. And we do.
Yeah, we do love drinking. I think there's one performance in here
Drinking and killing Nazis. What's up?
we didn't get to see, and that would be Forrest Gump breaking up the Black Panther Party.
But that was a different chapter. I think that was in Washington, D.C.
Funny, though.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I ruined your Black Panther Party.
Sorry, I ruined the Black Panther Party.
Just a little bit of humor to lighten us up.
Yep.
But overall, these were all fantastic. Even Dominique Fishback as Deborah Johnson was phenomenal.
She
did a lot of stuff to actually jump into the role. Like, she talked to Shaw, 'cause she's like, can I write in a journal to try, and she kind of wanted to like
really
become,
that was her.
She wanted to make a journal and kind of like sync up with Deborah Johnson.
Wow.
And then she asked if can I write the poem. She wrote the poem. Like, yeah, she really got into sync with that character. She talked to the original Deborah Johnson. Same with Daniel. Daniel went and he talked to everybody. He went out there a week before shooting and he talked to everyone he could to try and get as much insight to this character. So everyone did their part in making this
more than their fucking part.
They did their part in making this real, right? And getting all the whole feeling for everything. So even with Lakeith when he was playing William, he did his part, you know. And even though he didn't really like it that much.
How do you talk to a dead man? Oh, spoiler alert! You've gotten this far in the episode, and you haven't seen the movie.
Well, there's a spoiler in the very beginning. There's a spoiler in the very beginning of the show.
Good.
But even he did his due diligence, and you know, he conversed. Even though, you know, a funny little tidbit here is that he thought that Shaka was going to offer him the lead as Fred Hampton.
You did?
So when he got the script, he thought he was going to be Fred Hampton.
I'm sorry. I love you, Lakeith Stanfield, but I'm sorry. In another universe, I think you would have gotten the lead.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be.
Yeah,
as powerful,
he read the script and he was all super excited, and then
sorry.
like no, you're William.
I love you, brother, but
Yeah. No, he's still good. He did a great job.
He does.
He did a great job, and it's like
none of what you did in this film is going to tarnish you as a person, as an individual, or in the black community. Man, we love you.
If anything, like, dude, his performance was solid.
Yes.
Right, and his other performances, like a Get Out. You fucking
sorry to bother you.
Me? Fucking fantastic.
That scene with the guy who plays Mark Clark is one of the guys who in the movie Sorry to Bother You. There's like a whole a little back and forth between him and Mark Clark, and he's like, yeah, you have a good day. What'd you say to me? I said, you have a good day. Like, it's just they go back and forth exchanging like compliments sort of to each other. It's like I gotta show you this video afterwards, dude. It's the funniest fucking thing.
It's awesome.
It is in the movie.
I love that. But performance wise, y'all killed it.
Yes,
y'all killed
absolutely did.
So I think we can
cheers to that.
Cheers to
right
that.
On.
All right. So let's move on to budget.
Ooh, man, I don't even know the answer. Okay, let me think. 2021, right?
2021.
This is a Warner Brothers picture. I know that for sure.
We're gonna get
the budget. There was a
only.
lot. There was a lot. Okay, there was
only.
a lot of good shots in this fucking movie, man. Weirdly enough, for me, some of them revolve around the car.
The car. I love the car shots. Absolutely love the car shots.
So okay, real quick. The car shots, it was always the car, right? There was the car in the beginning. There was the car once he gets the car from the FBI. When he's driving Fred Hampton and he's driving down the street, and it's like he's on the driver's side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's driving down the street, and you could see him driving the car, and you see like the shitty, sort of scummy background of the mean streets of Chicago, and he makes a U-turn, and he pulls up, and he picks up Fred Hampton and some of the other Panthers, and he honks the horn. They all get in. The camera, there's no fucking editing. There's no cuts. The camera's still rolling.
It's a solid shot.
It's a long fucking take, right? So he drives on, and they're all talking, and he pulls up, and he's like, well, where are we pulling up to? He's like, we're going to Crown's territory. And he's like, hold up, we're going to what? He's like, we're going to the Crown's territory. We're going to go and, give him the good word, hand out these pamphlets and shit like that. And he pulls up to that same fucking bar that he had tried to pull the old maneuver in the beginning. And when he pulls up, you could see the neon sign reflecting off the glass from the car on his driver's side. It says Leon's. You're like, it was just the most beautiful fucking shot.
I love stuff like that.
I love
The attention to detail, right? For all those shots,
right?
It's always astounding.
I love nighttime shots because they're the most difficult to light. But they lit it very well.
Yeah.
Because when you look at that scene, it's almost like if you walk out into the street at night, you're looking at it like, oh wow,
A lot of it's like a cinematography trick is that they actually shoot during the day and they'll use a filter. Yeah. But I feel like that's the opposite of what you want to do. You definitely want to shoot at night and actually just adjust the lighting so you capture just enough. Because when you use a filter, you can tell you're using the fucking filter. You're not fooling anybody. You're not fooling anybody.
Not pulling one over these eyes, man. Come on, I know.
Yeah.
Like Roger Deakins knows how to fucking use the lighting to make it look night. You know, it's like fucking like even a fire going on like in the background.
Yeah.
We'll get into Roger Deakins some other time.
We'll do that another time.
But yes, budget. Sorry. Okay, so considering that whole scene that I kind of tried to lay out to you, the budget was, man, 2021. Budget had to be, I don't know, 85 million.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
The budget for this movie was $26 million.
Shut the fuck up.
Right. Isn't that insane? $26 million in 2021.
That's fucking nothing, dude.
That's nothing.
Paranormal Activity did what? It was like $18 million movie?
Yeah, and that's all found footage, which is ridiculous. This was a big budget production with pretty good actors that like have been in like
phenomenal actors, bro.
But they've been in some phenomenal films, you know, and also like
I'm so pissed off.
It's also a history piece,
a historical movie, a biopic.
But check this out: with such a small budget, they did an incredible amount of work in this movie, and it shows.
They did. How much did it make? Because I'm fucking pissed that movie only got that fucking much. Everyone crows on about fucking Paranormal Activity. Look how many sequels it's got. Yeah,
Paranormal Activity sucks,
shit, dude. It's fucking shit.
I'm sorry. I don't think that franchise is that good.
It's not.
I kind of like the first one, but the
first one's this much,
it's just,
and the second one's
the
like,
first one is like this.
Yeah,
and then they just peter off, and
it's bullshit.
It's not good. There's better found footage films.
VHS.
VHS
one
is way better. Way
VHS
better.
viral.
Way
VHS.
better. So Judas and the Black Messiah made an incredibly low $7 million in the box office.
Are you fucking well, during the pandemic.
It's also during a pandemic. So that's also part of the problem. And I'm trying to see here if it was streaming.
It did stream, I believe, on HBO MAX.
So I mean, if that's the case, then that would be why it didn't make any money.
It was streaming on HBO Max. Excuse me, because I have HBO Max, and that's how I was able to watch it.
Okay, is that if that's how you watch it, then that's exactly. Oh yeah, it says here.
I'm part of the problem.
But I mean, that's all right. So they need to figure out, or maybe they do. Maybe they have figured it out, and we just don't know how they make money off of streaming yet. Because I know Netflix is very good at hiding the numbers. Because I know they say that their main income for revenue is subscriptions. Yeah. Subscriptions, and then they're still doing DVD and Blu-rays. Like you could like submit like I want to watch Night at the Roxbury on DVD, and they'll send it to you.
Man called Adam.
They'll send it to you. They still do that. They're almost done with it,
right?
But they still do, and that's their main source of revenue,
right?
So what about streaming? If streaming wasn't such a big thing, right? So I mean, how do people make money on YouTube, right? So they make money off of YouTube through views. So how is Netflix and Paramount and HBO and Disney Plus not making
Hulu,
money on Hulu? How they're not making money on eyeballs watching through views? They have to be making money somewhere, and they're doing a good job of hiding how they make profit off of that.
Yeah.
Because there's no way this is such a big film that it made $7 million and that's it.
When you watch this film and you look at the costumes, the actors, the costumes, the setting, the production value, it's fucking phenomenal, dude. Everything about it is just top notch, fucking flawless. For it to make that much, doesn't make any fucking sense, dude.
Yeah, this was a great film, and for it to only make $7 million in the box office is a travesty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you grew up like
it
us,
only made a third of the budget.
if you grew up like us and you went to school and you got free fucking breakfast and free fucking lunches, you owe this movie a goddamn view. Just one watch. That's it. At least. Because the Black Panthers, for self-defense, were the ones that got you that fucking free breakfast. Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, it's an absolute travesty. And unfortunately, I don't see this trend of movies streaming to those platforms
It's
going
hard.
away.
It's hard.
Because apparently HBO, I remember when this first happened at the end of I think it was fall of 2020.
Right.
HBO Max said they were going to be streaming movies all of 2021 until the pandemic kind of reached an end. You know, they're going to
Which is a good thing because, considering a corporation like that.
that makes sense. It's during a pandemic.
Yeah.
But now that
Things are starting to loosen up.
starting to loosen up a little bit. I know
Somewhat.
Omicron's kind of still a thing, but
Yeah. That's the movie I was thinking of. City of Lies.
oh, it's true. Yeah, City of Lies.
I have that on DVD and Blu-ray.
Bang bang. That's part of the problem though, because they should have just been we're only doing it for 2021,
Mhm.
and then just go to the movies.
Yeah.
You know. So I mean, I don't understand what's going to happen. So I mean, are they trying to phase out cinema entirely? I fucking hope not, because cinema is my favorite. I love going to the theater.
Of course.
Absolutely
Everyone.
love going, even for the stupidest movies ever. I recently watched Jackass 4. If you guys haven't watched that, it's fucking fantastic. Go watch it.
I think the last movie I saw was Cruella.
But I mean, going to the cinema is such an experience.
It wasn't my
It really
choice,
is.
it was my
And
sister's.
they've also made the cinema so much more fun. I mean, just look at when you go to not just the box office, but when you go to the concession stand, how much stuff they have to offer now. They don't just do popcorn and candy anymore and soda.
How much overpriced it is.
It is obviously price.
Give us your money.
But that's where cinemas make money. They don't make money on ticket sales. They make money on concession stands.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you want to support your cinema, buy a ticket. Yeah, sure. It's I don't know, let's say $12 to $20 is the average ticket.
If
price.
you can, go to your local cinemas, the little mom and pop movie theaters that are playing older films.
If there's any open now,
If
because
there's
of,
any, considering, but I mean, if you can,
those are the ones you want to support. 100%.
those are the ones, absolutely worth it.
But just don't be afraid to go to the cinema, though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and spend a little bit of money there to help support them. You know, because I mean, without cinema, we really wouldn't have movies.
And clean up after your fucking self. Honestly, that's the reason why things are so expensive there, because people just leave their fucking popcorn scattered everywhere. They leave their drinks everywhere.
Yeah, it's
And
gross.
just be a fucking human being. Clean up after
They
yourself.
have trash bins, man.
Exactly.
So do I.
When you enter and exit the film,
Dude, they sell beer there now.
yeah, the trash can's right there.
Dude, I had
Right
3
fucking-
beers when I watched Jackass.
Heaven forbid you were carrying your fucking, I'm not going to eat the rest of this popcorn, or you can save it for later.
This burrito is filling.
But just throw it at some, Don't do that. Just clean up after yourself. Enjoy the cinema.
Yeah, be a respectable human being.
Yes.
Enjoy the cinema. Enjoy the people that work there. All right, so let's move on to our last category here, the outro. The outro?
Man, the outro is
You
rough as shit. Where do I start with the outro, man? Because for me, the outro, I know you want to give 15 minutes in, but then how are you going to set it up, right?
So you set it up with
When
when
he's goes to fucking,
Lakeith, or
Goes-
not when
meets-
Lakeith, but when Bill meets up with Roy.
yep, that's what I was thinking.
That's
And he's
literally where 15 minutes starts.
He's like, I'm going to need you to fucking draw out you've been to Hampton's apartment, right? He's like, yeah. We need you to draw a fucking floor plan. Floor plan.
He needs a blueprint of the fucking house.
And so he's like, what the fuck for, man? He's like, I just want to be out. I'm done. I'm over
He's
it.
like, dude, you got him. He's going to prison.
He's like, yep. I'm dangling that whole blackmail thing. Like I said, like, oh, you know, impersonating federal agent. Remember what I said?
So evil.
It's bullshit, dude. So then, obviously, what history
This is
shows,
where we get to see the evil side of Roy. At the very end of the movie.
And the evil side of Bill, because he could have just
not did it.
He could have gave him fake floor plans.
Anything. He also could have not
done it.
He also could have not poisoned Hampton. He also could have not
a sleeping agent.
Sleeping. He also could have not. He also could have told them that something was coming.
Hey, you got to get out of this fucking apartment.
Exactly.
Tonight. This ain't it. This ain't it.
Exactly.
He could have. Yeah, he could. There's so much. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. You know. Anyways, so he makes him draw up the floor plans for the apartment. Bill goes to a bar, whatever, right? And he's drinking by himself at the bar, and then down the bar is another a black gentleman in a very well dressed suit.
Very well dressed suit. Very dapper.
Mm-hmm.
Very dapper.
And he's sitting at the end of the bar, and he's just kind of like minding his own business, you know, flirting with the girls and shit like that. And then he sees Bill, and he walks over and he's like, "Oh," he's like, "Hey, my man." He's like, "When do they start getting letting?" Forget my language, but he's like, "Oh, when do they start letting Negroes be FBI agents?"
FBI agents. That's
so
because
where can I apply?
Yeah.
Like he's just joking around with them.
That's because Bill had mentioned to the girl that he was flirting with that he was an FBI informant.
Yes.
Well, not informant, but just he worked for the FBI.
And he comes over and he's like, "Oh man!" And he has a newspaper, and it's kind of semi rolled up, like it's just folded in half, right? So it's got that little. I don't know if you people know what newspapers are, but when you roll or fold it in half, there's like a significant sort of bump in it.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Man, I got something in the paper I want you to read. It's a really good article." And he sets the newspaper down on the bar, and
there's a little vial of powder in there,
white powder. And he's like, "Man, what the fuck?" He's like, I'm not gonna poison Fred Hampton." He's like, "Hey, just slip it in his drink. It's not gonna poison him. It's just gonna make him go to sleep." And because of the protest that was coming from Bill ONeil, the man at the bar assumed that he wasn't the right guy. And he's like, "My mistake, brother, my mistake. I got the wrong guy." And he walks out of the bar and he leaves.
He just leaves. Just leaves everything he had there and just goes.
This is the craziest fucking thing ever, dude. Yeah. So then Bill follows the guy down the alleyway to the parking lot from the bar. And he's like, hey, who sent you? Did Mitchell send you? Hey, where you come from?
You work for the FBI.
Yeah, you work for the FBI?
You gotta show me your badge. You work for the FBI.
And the guy just ignores him. He's like, "My mistake, brother. He keeps walking. He just keeps walking." And he gets into his car. And he's like, if he's like pounding on the window, he's like, "If you work for the FBI, you got to show me a fucking badge. Show me a fucking badge." And the guy rolls down the window, and he pulls out of his coat, and he gives it to him, and then he takes off. And the badge that he gives to ONeil is the same fucking badge that ONeil was using
at the beginning of the movie.
Very beginning of the movie. And man, is it fucking nuts!
That's terrible. That's
the music that plays, that little fucking like funk sort of jazz, like that squealing saxophone.
Yeah. We didn't really cover score in here, but I mean, there's a lot of good score. Yeah,
man. So then the film goes on. ONeil goes to Fred Hampton's apartment in Chicago. They were all celebrating, right? Mm-hmm. They were all celebrating what was going to happen for his appeal.
Yeah, for the appeal.
Fred Hampton had got released from prison. And so eventually he slips that white powder into Fred Hampton's drink, but you could see the tears in his eyes.
He's so upset.
He's like, he doesn't want to do this.
He doesn't want to do it, but he does it.
But he does. And it's fucking bullshit. And he does it. He's like, "Chairman, can I get you a drink?"
Am I get another drink? You want one? And he's tearing up the whole time.
And he does it. And he fucking does. And he gives it to him.
Drink.
and then he walks out. Walks out of the apartment, gets into his fucking car, and leaves. So who is all in the apartment at the very end? There's about several Black Panther Party members. There's Chairman Hampton. There's Deborah. You know, obviously, the mother-to-be. The mother-to-be of young Fred Hampton Jr. There's Mark Clark. And there's about, I think, there's three more?
Three others. There's three others.
Black Panthers that are there. But Mark Clark is a very important figure in this because the way the apartment was set up. So, the way the Chicago police tell the whole tale of how they did a search warrant or a raid to this apartment was according to them, they knocked on the door, let their presence be known, and there was 3 shots fired within the apartment in which they returned fire. That's the official story for the Chicago Police Department. That's their story across the board, and it's all complete bullshit.
It's bullshit.
Everything of it. So, what really happened is what the movie depicts, and this is one of the most fucking factual things.
I remember watching this, and I'm like, this is so fucking evil.
It's the worst, scummiest fucking thing to happen.
So evil.
So what happens was
horrendous.
I don't even know if there was a knock to begin with because
there was a knock. So what happens
did Deborah say that was a knock?
Not Deborah. I don't think it was. I don't think it was Mark Clark. But it was one of the.
He's dead. He's been long dead.
It was one of the other Black Panthers, and he's sitting there and he's fucking with his lighter, and he notices some footsteps, shadows outside the door.
Right.
They're walking back and forth. He's like, hey, he's waking everyone up. He's like, someone's outside, right? And then like he notices the doorknob starts to, and then they try to open it, but it doesn't go anywhere. And that's when the knock happens.
Mark Clark's sitting behind, when you walk into a room, he's sitting in a chair right there, and he's got the shotgun. And the only shot that was fired from inside that apartment came from the shotgun that Mark Clark was holding. But the only reason why that fired is because when the police shot into the apartment, it killed him, and he dropped the shotgun, and when he dropped the shotgun, it fired.
It fired.
And all the other shots came from. So even though the Chicago police would like to say that 3 shots came from inside the apartment from the Panthers, and that's
one shot came.
Yeah, it was only 1 shot. And that was after they killed somebody because they just surrounded the building and started firing into it. And that's
they killed the first guy right off the bat.
Yeah.
Through the door.
And that's the fucking truth. And there's even actual court documents stating that
I believe it was 99 shots versus the 1.
That's how much it was. And the Chicago police had to pay Deborah Johnson like $1.85 million.
I don't
It was
remember.
a lot.
They had to pay her a lot.
They paid her a lot. Eventually, they paid her a lot after this is one of the longest court proceedings that happened here in the U.S.
Yeah, I think it was like 12 years or something.
Yeah,
a long time.
It was a long fucking time.
It was a long time. So they basically shot 99 shots into the apartment. They hit several Panther members. They killed.
They've killed. The only one they really killed was Fred Hampton.
They killed Fred Hampton. They came in. They're like, "Oh, this one's still alive."
Oh, he's still alive.
And then boom,
they surrounded him.
And then like he's not alive anymore. Like this is a statement from
Deborah
from Deborah Johnson. Like
because that's
when they shot him. He's like, "Oh, he ain't alive anymore." Like
they took her out of the room.
Fucking serious? They removed her from the room. They murdered him, and they made a bullshit comment about it. And that is one of the most disgusting things I ever heard in my life.
The most disgusting thing was them assassinating Fred Hampton under the orders of the FBI because Bill ONeil gave him the floor plans.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, here, execute this fucking thing. And the Chicago Police Department...
And these were also it's the Chicago Police Department, but then none of them... I don't know if you noticed, but at least in the movie, they weren't in uniform. They were wearing your everyday clothes.
This kind of shit happens, dude. Yeah. Breonna Taylor?
Fucking
same
horrible.
Thing. They weren't in police uniform. They had a no-knock warrant, and they just fucking started... They kicked down the door, started shooting inside the apartment.
It's disgusting.
This kind of shit, like, nothing's fucking changed, man. Like, Are we ever gonna fucking learn from our past mistakes? Are we ever gonna change the country and be a better society towards everyone else that's here living in this country? I don't fucking know, but I want to hope so, and I want to keep fighting for it.
We're gonna keep fighting for it, and that's where kind of this movie ends on that note that they murdered Frank Hampton, and then
assassinated him, really.
yeah, they assassinated him.
It was a scummy way to assassinate somebody in their fucking sleep.
In their sleep.
When's the last time someone got assassinated in their sleep, man?
This might be the only one, to be honest.
It's fucking
I could think of.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah. Wait. No, that's Billy the Kid. Sorry. But he was awake. Someone assassinated him. Well, not assassinated. Someone shot him, but
All right, so I think we could probably move on to the rating.
Jesus Christ, man.
So give it to me.
A fucking movie like this, 5 out of 5. Can I do both Daniel Kaluuya and fucking Lakeith Stanfield? I want to do a twofer on this one, because this is such another powerhouse movie with two phenomenal actors that are still very young, and they have a lot more to give within the film industry.
We're gonna get a lot out of them.
We're gonna get a lot more out of them, man. And I'm telling you, man, their performances here in this film, I gotta give it both of them. I cannot pick and choose which one.
We can do it. We can do that.
I want to give it 5.
Okay.
5 out of 5. Man. Both of them.
5 out of 5 for Judas and the Black Messiah, which it deserves this.
It does.
This is a phenomenal film. If you have not watched it yet, I'm not sure if it's still streaming on HBO MAX. You know if it's
I believe it is.
If it is, please catch it.
Please do.
It's a great film.
A must watch.
I think it's been out of theaters for a while now. So
yeah, it's a must watch.
Yeah.
You're in the comfort of your own home. Please watch this fucking movie.
It's a great film, and then just let it sink in. Let it sink in. Take in some of that history. Yeah.
Let us know what you think.
Let us know what you think in the comments. Yeah. Hit us up. If you guys enjoyed this content, I know it got a little darker more towards the end. If you enjoyed this content, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you would like to suggest any other movies, or maybe just want to shoot the shit with us, you can send us an email at nyec.gsc@gmail.com. And until then, happy movie going. Check out all these movies. Watch Judas and the Black Messiah, streaming on HBO MAX. Anything else?
Please do, and happy movie going, and just be a better person.
Please be a better person for society.
Cheers.
Cheers.